Hello, everybody. This is Srinivasan, a fine art photographer and a small-time freelance skater who does bicycling and cross and walking as a cross-training process to long-distance skating. Has come to meet you guys with wonderful another interview. Who we have here is an most respected guest of mine, Mr. Hank. He is the owner of Zen Times 10, founder of Zen Times 10, and I know him as the owner of Braapstik, known for land paddles, longboards, and trucks. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the interview.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Awesome. So, how was Braapstik or Zen Times 10 Inc. born? Do you still operate everything from your garage? It's truly inspiring.
Everything's out of the garage. It's just me, and I'll have my kids help from time to time, but we keep it simple, low overhead, and mostly focus on the innovation side of the new things that actually make sense. And if people are interested, they can come and pick some up.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, what inspired you to make your land paddles? Are they unidirectional? Uh, could you share the thinking behind the design?
Well, it was kind of brought to me from a friend um, saying, you know what, we knew about Kahuna and some of the originators in the
Mm-hmm.
market. So we're
Mm-hmm.
talking a long time ago as far as a stick and being able to push yourself on a skateboard. To me, I knew about Kahuna Creations, and somebody's like, what if we put a spring on it? And so, we talked about the concept.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Everything I do is real simple, and anybody that wants to make something should follow the same process. As you want to take your idea and just prove it. Whatever you could
Mm-hmm.
do to prove your idea, don't spend a lot of money on it. Don't worry about IP. Don't worry about all the junk. Just go out and prove your idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you're familiar with jumping stilts, have you ever seen those?
Mm-hmm.
So they actually are these stilts with big fiberglass springs integrated into them, and people, if you search them, you'll see videos of guys that jump over cars and do backflips. But they function off this type of spring that's like a longbow with a lot of uh, it'll absorb a lot of energy and release that energy. And so we found a used set, just bought a used set of jumping stilts just for the spring, and I 3D printed a couple attachments and mounted it to a pole. And first trip I took down the street, you could feel that there were some things you would be interested in, right? That it was kind of comfortable. It took a lot of the compression from paddling out of your arms and shoulders, and you could feel the spring load and release. And we're like, this could be kind of interesting. So yeah, we started out with that, and that was our first model, just a piece of aluminum, 3D printed parts, and a spring that we got off some jumping stilts. So 150 bucks. We were up and running with playing around with something and proving out, that this could be fun. So
Mm. Awesome. Awesome. So, what is your current product lineup for land paddling or longboarding? Is it designed more for serious endurance skaters who race, or like for casual cruisers looking for a SUP experience on land?
so as far as a place in the market, I don't even know. It's not a big enough market to really care so much. Like the serious competitors, um, can usually get the job done with anything, right? They can use just a pole and a piece of rubber on the end of it and go push and paddle, and their performance level can just provide good results. But for myself, I did one day at the Miami Ultra Skate just to see what it was like back in 2017. I think I didn't even I only had a small window, so I flew in, set up, skated all of the first day, and then at night I got ready to go fly out the next day. So, but I was able to put in like 80 miles. And for a guy that, I wasn't training, I didn't have like a regimen of like what I should eat, but the paddle being so kind to the rest of my body made me at least be able to continue paddling and doing the circles. So sure, like for the community that wants to compete at a personal level, I think our paddle can really help you with some results because if you're not the heavy competitor, at least you can get a little benefit from the spring and the comfort and the saving on the like exertion to all your joints that you go through in a 24-hour experience. But technically, if I wanted to create something that had its own place, I didn't want to compete with other people that's just making a paddle. So if I could make something that made sense in the stand-up paddle community, I decided that that was probably worth my time. Because the only way you win a battle against other people with bigger pockets and bigger advertising budgets is to just have your be in your own space. So my space I would consider is trying to make something that's comfortable and will bring people from the water to the land. So that's why we make the big wheel skateboard because it's a lot safer for someone that doesn't understand that a crack or a small rock might toss you. I don't want to injure anybody that enjoys playing on the water when they're trying to cross train on land. And so I made a board that would help make that transition to land a little easier and benefit from the cross training that they could do as they really enjoy the water sport. It'll give them more paddle days.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks. Nice insight. Sir, what are the key advantages of Braapstik paddles compared to the other land paddles on the market?
The current model is what I call my 2.0 model. The original model luckily came together pretty good. It's the first time I really had stuff going to a mold. So I was happy that it came together as well as it did. But after a couple years of usage, I'm like there were things we could improve. The current model, even if you get just down into the rubber foot, our rubber foot has some flex to it. The skate pole is probably one of the best innovations when it comes to grip there is out there because of how it works. If you're not familiar, it'll plant and it articulates within the tip and keeps that rubber in the pavement while you paddle through. And keeping that same concept, originally technically I was trying to actually just make an adapter and let people buy the skate, pole tips and use them with my paddle. I had no problem with that, but I ran into some problems of just trying to even get the ability to, get those sourced. So I'm like, whatever, I'll make my own foot. And so our foot articulates in the same fashion. It plants, it flexes, the spring flexes, and it's reversible. So if you were ever to look at a land paddle and one of the things that I've never enjoyed about the Kahuna creations these days is the amount of rubber on the end that's really usable and how quick they wear out. So there's lots of rubber and it's reversible. So just our foot, as far as that improvement is pretty awesome. You get to use it twice if you ever wear it down, and it's going to take a while to wear down because it's a lot of rubber. Uh, the collapsibility, the skate pole is the only other one that collapses so small, but I can take mine on a trip. Like we went to Hawaii, I took my carver and my paddle, threw it in some check-in luggage. The fact that it can get so small and I can take it on trips is pretty awesome. Um, but to be honest, like disabilities and people with injuries, it just makes the whole experience so much better. If I was to, you know, try and explain it, it just doesn't do it justice with how much impact the road causes when you're out there paddling and some of the feeling in the joints and how it's not my favorite thing. Like literally, I don't enjoy paddling anything else now. that doesn't provide a little bit of cushion and doesn't send that shock up through my arms to my shoulder. So there's quite a few things that are just different. We enjoy our space. Again, I don't need to sell a lot of paddles. I just like where we're at. I'll make something custom to fit your needs. If I find out, how tall you are, what you weigh, I'll make sure you get a setup that's fitting your needs, whether you're looking for performance or for comfort. So it's pretty fun just to interact with customers and to chat with them and see, get the feedback. It's pretty awesome.
Nice, nice. I like your approach actually. So, how well does the Brapstik perform with the bracketed long distance skateboard setup, metal or glass drop, versus the non bracket complete setup, like a centered back foot or rear axle boards?
So we're talking paddle with those. Like I actually bought a long distance G bomb for the Ultra Skate, and totally love them because you can cruise and you can go so fast. But my day to day, I always go back to my 200 millimeter wheels. I never worry about a rock or a crack. Right, I can go out and just paddle and have fun. And so it's rare that I get on any type of a deck where I have to start getting back into those concerns. Even though I can fly on the G bomb, the best thing about the Braapstik is when you're up to speed, the if you know the difference between a quick twitch muscle and a slow twitch muscle, right? Somebody with a quick twitch muscle will outrun you. They're so far ahead because the how the muscle releases. When you're up to speed, the Brapstik's like a quick twitch muscle if you know how to use it. You just put power into it, let it release, and it'll give you that little extra flick at the end, and you're already up to speed, and so it's that little bit of additional speed every time. So I can fly with a lot less effort when I'm up to speed, especially if I've got a pump board, just because they're made to roll and they perform so well. So I do enjoy it. I'm 50 years old pretty much. I try and stay away from anything that I can take a dig and go down. So I stick with my 200 millimeter wheels. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I understand. I understand. So it's more like a Usain Bolt thing. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that pole that can be really helpful for so many things. Just that simple handle. Yep.
Hmm. So, how effective is the switch push handle offered by Brapstik?
So that's originally why I even came up with it. I was reading a bunch of on Reddit. Everybody asking, how do I learn to push switch? How do I learn to push switch? I know what it's like to try and push switch. It's not comfortable. You're worried about losing your balance or the board coming out from underneath you because it's just not your balance is not the same when you go to your opposite foot and switch stance. And so really, I was like, all you need is a little added balance. And the first time I took it out, so I basically 3D printed stuff again. I'm like, I'll 3D print it. I'll take one of my Brapstik handles. I'll throw it in there, and I skated it. And right away, I could see all I need is one finger on that pole on the handle, and that one finger allowed me to just go switch stance and push all the way up the street, turn the corner, do all the things that I was, a little skittish about. And it was one finger. That's all it took. That little one finger addition. So, but it's really kind of gone from there to like I taught my kid how to skateboard. He was worried about skating. I'm like, dude, try it with the handle. And now, he doesn't need it, but he actually still likes to use it because he likes to throw the board around and do weird stuff with his handle. But so it's really kind of moved into its own space where I was trying to help out long distance guys that wanted to use both feet and get the extra distance and use all of their body and all the muscles that they could to balance. I've got people from the military and head issues and different things that they've experienced, or 80-year-old guys that just wanted to get back on a board, and this allowed them to feel comfortable with stepping back on the board and cruising the neighborhood. And you'll watch them and they're not going super fast, but they got a smile on their face and they're happy to be out there. It's rewarding just for that little piece of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
do you think an egg beater kind of design could make a good all direction land paddle, perhaps inspired by the original Braapstik concept?
It would be interesting. Um, because I could get what you're saying. No matter which direction you're going, it would have some ability to flex and release. Because we are sort of unidirectional. The spring I've been working on lately, with the angle of it, really allows it to even if you were to come off angle, to plant and release. Now, egg beater, I would probably, if I was to try the concept out, would be just with a like an omnidirectional pole that's fiberglass that you would be able to load. I'm sure you could achieve it with just a cylinder, the length, and how the build to get that flex and that release totally would work. I'm sure, but I don't know of anything off the shelf, and I probably wouldn't make a mold to go do just that right off. Because really, I'm sure it would totally work. And if you could imagine I didn't even know that there was a stick in, I think it's France, that had a little carbon fiber spring. Because I've heard from everybody about this, that, and the other. Like, you're not the originators, and I don't care if I am or not. But we didn't even know they existed, and their spring was a lot smaller, made out of carbon fiber, and you could see the concept they were going for. In my head, I was always looking for a longbow. The reason the longbow, like archery, works is that it's got the length and the continued release, not a compound bow that's like short and quick and hard. I wanted the long release of a longbow, and so that's why I've kind of stuck with how that is and how it loads and how it releases. I don't want small and quick. So, but yeah, I'm sure that was an interesting thing you brought up, to be like, omnidirectional, or like it totally could work. Yep.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Sir, you already have answered this question, as in, like, you like 200 wheels, but since the ultra skate kind of events, allow only 150 wheels, would you prefer, like, the maximum, the bigger size wheels? I've modified the question here. Bigger size wheels for your, like, street SUP or, land paddling thing.
I would never recommend my board for that competition, to be honest. If you don't have a pump board and you don't know how to pump, you're not there to compete. You're there to just enjoy the experience. Pumping is huge. If you're not pumping, you don't have the energy to do a full 24 hours of the most miles you can do just by your upper body strength only. I learned that pretty quick as you watch the guys rest their upper body as they pump and continue on the backstretch. If you don't know how to pump and you don't have a pump board, you're just there to enjoy the experience. And so I wouldn't recommend a non-pump board to anybody if you're going to go to the ultra skate. So don't take my board. 200 millimeter wheels, again, are just safety, security. It's not for pumping at all. But it sure is a nice way to go around. It's pretty comfortable.
Thank you. So, which events have you sponsored so far?
One I miss, there used to be one in San Diego. I'm in Arizona. Let me think. I should have looked him up just to remember. But there was an island out there. Ah, and unfortunately, I think his family had some medical stuff, and so he had to stop putting on this event. But man, it was one of my favorites because it was real chill. We could drive over there. It was set up in the morning and just do laps around the island, so it's scenic. And he was just a good old boy. Like, he was a cool dude. Um, but it was a marathon, so you do 26, just a 26 miler around the island. Um, and it started with an A. I'll totally have to think about it. Maybe I'll shoot you what it is actually called. But that was back in the day. We sponsored that for a couple years. I have to send shots out to people like D Pascual, that was from West Up, that used to make some really good rattan. paddles. He would go there, and it was fun to be around the guys that were in the sport and knew the sport, and we were new to the sport. Like, didn't know if we were even in a sport. We just made something that we enjoyed. But that was, and then I'd do small stuff. There's a Mark Harris that does some stuff in Florida. We've done some stuff at sup events where we give them, some paddles to give away, and kind of we've done that back in the day. But to be honest, just knowing the amount of effort and some of that stuff, that we only do that if we're like trying to make a trip for the family and go have some fun and do an event and like set up a shop, which is pretty rare these days. But I think the community could really enjoy some growth, but I'm not sure where that growth is going to come from, to be honest. Maybe there's just not enough events to keep people super excited.
Yeah. Events need a lot of money, so yeah, I understand. I understand. So once we
Yep.
get the visibility going, people might fall. You will get some more footfalls. Awesome. So, if you were to collaborate with another company that makes land paddles, which one would interest you the most?
I don't know if the land paddle community has a lot of interest for me that way. What I would like to do is collaborate with a sup paddle. I've reached out to Quick Blade and um, Black Project and some of the teams, and because not only did I make a land paddle, I made a paddle that was with a spring in it as well. Because in a sup paddle, the blade sits on an angle, and most of the people that are new to the sport don't know that that's supposed to be facing forward. They run it reverse, and so I made again. I just took something to prove out the concept. I would take our spring for the Braapstik, and I'd cut it, shave it, put a blade on it, and paddle it. And I've got some YouTube videos where I'd go out and I would test how many strokes, how much distance, is there any benefit. One of the biggest benefits was the fact that you didn't, if you're a novice, you didn't care which way you paddled it. The blade would always flex into the position that it should flex into with that, rake of like 18 degrees and so even if they ran it backwards, it would still work because it's going to flex into position. And I even built like a tank where I could test the flex and then the release of the flex to see how much, if I had any better output. But if I was to play, it would be in that market of with the sup people. Um, Unfortunately, I hear that the United States sup market's in decline. Um, this is from the people that do some competitions and do run my Braapstik. Just saying that the support and the money and the sup in the U.S. is just not really there. It's mostly in the UK and these other overseas stuff. But that's the place I would play if I could, is to work with their technology and get them interested in the concept of more paddle days is a good day. So have some land paddles and sell their actual paddle boards and equipment. Something like that would be interesting to me.
Awesome. Awesome. I really like your rational and realistic approach. Awesome. So, what are your future plans for Brapstick?
I don't know. That's a good question. What's funny is we're motocross guys. The reason we even call it Braapstik, just so everybody knows, like, what the heck is Braapstik. So in the motocross world, when you're a kid, when you're whatever, you always do the little brap 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 brap, like you're a little two stroke, and you make those sounds when you're running around. And we race dirt bikes, and so we're like, well, we'll call it Braapstik because we're just motocross guys. And so it, like I say, it kind of came from an outside in because I sell stuff in the wakeboarding industry and the um, motocross industry. And then this thing came aboard, and I wasn't even supposed to be running it. But I mean, it's a thing, and I do enjoy it. But I don't know about next steps. Like I, I just started making my second generation spring in my garage, and I've been testing that out. And so I think as far as the only thing I can see in my near future is to start offering my second generation spring as a total custom package where there won't be many people that'll buy it. It'll be a little more costly because I'll make the spring, I'll ride the spring, I'll shave the spring, I'll tune it to what the rider asks for. So it's going to be more of a lengthy process of me making a spring, and customizing it for, a couple days and just sell like some high end stuff. Because I think most people are set on, to be honest, you can make your own paddle. You just need a pole and like a Kong ball. I mean, we've all seen the do it yourself type bids. That's pretty much the same as any land paddle out there, to be honest. If it's a stick with some rubber and you like it, go paddle it. And so I think mine is to go more into the custom one off, just a custom fit type um, one to one option that I'll start paying more attention to um, for the people that want the high end stuff. I think
Hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I think that's all I've got to, like with the questions. Thank you. Thanks for giving me this wonderful opportunity. It was amazing talking to you and quite a learning, as a matter of fact.
Well, I wish you well with this. I see your channel. Hope you get a lot of traction. It seems like you enjoy it, so keep it up. It takes a lot of work to make that impact, and hopefully you're streaming not only on YouTube but on Rumble and all the other ones.
Hmm.
Um, get your following going. So yeah, I hope it works out for you.
Thank you so much. Nandri, this is how we greet and say welcome and thank thing in our language. So thank you.
Mm,
Yes, sir.
appreciate the time.
Uh, yeah.